Hey everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Today on this very snowy day, I'm actually walking around here in this empty parking lot with around 6 inches of untouched snow. I'm standing by the all-new 2021 Jeep Gladiator EcoDiesel. Now you guys know the Gladiator as the pickup truck version of the JL Wrangler, and when I first tested this truck last year, I came away pretty impressed. However, there was one engine that I wanted Jeep to put in that thing, and that is the new 3-liter turbo diesel V6, which offers up to 442 pound-feet of torque. So as you can see, I've got this Gladiator Overland trim, which is the more street-oriented model. We've got this big empty parking lot full of snow, which I'm not going to be doing donuts in. Instead, we're gonna go over the Gladiator with the diesel engine. We're gonna find out, is this the motor that you should be checking the option box for if you're looking to buy a Gladiator? Stay tuned to find out. So of course, with the new engine being the addition for 2021, let's start with underneath the hood, because this is the same 3-liter turbo diesel V6 that we find in the Ram 1500 and of course in the JL Wrangler. It makes the same power outputs here, which makes the Gladiator one of the most powerful diesel-powered compact trucks or mid-size trucks that you can buy today. And as you can see, this 3-liter EcoDiesel turbocharged V6 is of course part of the Fiat FCA engine family. It's actually a Fiat Italian-built engine. And it's now in its 3rd or 4th generation, I believe, and it makes 260 horsepower and 442 pound-feet of torque. That makes it way more powerful versus the engines you find in the GM twins, the Colorado and Canyon, which offers a diesel 4-cylinder, and fuel economy is also very impressive. This is rated to get 22 in the city, 28 on the highway, just edging out the GM twins with their 4-cylinder turbo diesel engine. So a V6 diesel, this is exactly the motor that I've been waiting to try out in the Gladiator. Now, it only comes paired with an 8-speed automatic transmission. It's your only transmission option. If you guys are looking for a Gladiator with a stick, you have to step down to the gas-only V6. It does make the Gladiator with the diesel pretty expensive. It's about a $6,000 upcharge for the diesel because it's $4 grand for the engine and $2 grand for the transmission. Now, sadly, when you do go for the diesel, even though you have more torque but less horsepower than the V6, you do have slightly reduced towing capacities. This truck will tow a maximum of 6,500 pounds. That's about 1,200 pounds less than the gas-only version. And payload capacity is around 1,125 pounds as well. So it's a little bit less because the diesel is heavier. It weighs in around 400 pounds heavier than versus the gas version. As this truck sits here, it weighs a little over 5,000 pounds, but fuel economy, as you guys saw, at 24 mpg combined, does make this the most fuel efficient offering in the Gladiator lineup. So let's briefly take a look at the Gladiator on the outside. As you guys know, this was an all-new vehicle design back in 2019 for the Wrangler, so there are no styling changes. It didn't really need it. However, this one here, I want to show you a brief tour on the outside, is the more comfort-oriented Overland version. I've only tested, of course, the Rubicon and the Mojave version, which is the more off-road ready and Baja truck ready versions. And this one definitely has a much more softer look to the overall design. The Overland model is kind of the Sahara version of the Gladiator. It's the more road-going version. So instead of the steel bumpers that you can get on the Rubicon, the Overland only gets the plastic bumpers. My tester here is painted in this satin silver exterior. It's a little bit more fly under the radar, although it's still got a lot of attention everywhere I brought this thing. Everybody loves the fact that it's a Jeep truck, and when they hear the fact that it's a diesel underneath, it makes it even more appealing. Now, my tester has the lighting package for $995, so it includes full LED headlights, LED fog lights, LED turn signals, and LED daytime running lights. The headlights are very bright at night, so I highly recommend checking that option box because the incandescent halogens basically look like candles when you're driving it at night. The Gladiator still only comes in one configuration, 4 full-size doors. It's based off of the Unlimited trim or Unlimited Wrangler. However, at 218 inches long, this is about 2 feet longer versus a regular Wrangler Unlimited, which is, it itself is already a relatively big SUV. This is a pretty long pickup truck, although it is shorter than most of its competitors because this is more of a lifestyle truck. Now, looking over here at the wheels, you can see these are the 5-spoke graphite finish wheels that you get on the Overland version. You have Bridgestone Dweller HT all-season tires. These are more road-going tire versus the 33-inch tall Rubicons or Rubicon trims that have the Goodyear Wrangler tires. And overall, the Overland trim still gives you around 10 inches of ground clearance, which is a pretty good amount. The Rubicon increases that to around 11.6 inches, so you get an 1.5 inches more ground clearance if you plan on doing some serious off-roading. I recommend that. My tester has the dual top group, so it has the hard top. However, it's not the body colored hard top. It's got those removable freedom panels. I also have the soft tonneau cover that kind of rolls up as well. All Gladiators continue to have four-wheel or a live axle at both ends, which is better for off-roading. It also has a recirculating ball type steering design. Now, looking over at the rear, you can see the lighting package includes LED taillights as well. These are full LED taillights, which definitely make the truck look a lot more modern. There's only a subtle little EcoDiesel badge at the back to let people know that you've got the EcoDiesel. And there's also an overland trim. And then the bed itself measures 5 feet long. It is relatively an okay length. However, most of the competitors offer the additional 6.5 foot bed. The bed itself is also a little bit on the shallow end. I do like this little soft tonneau cover that you can roll up. There is some LED lighting inside the bed. My tester also has a nice spray-in bed liner, and you have a nice little power outlet back there. And the tailgate itself is also damp, so it doesn't slam like some competitors, such as the Ford Ranger. Now, just like the exterior, the interior of the 2021 Gladiator pretty much stays the same. So I'm just going to briefly overview or go over what the interior looks like on this overland trim. My tester has the optional full leather seats in this black color leather. You can also option in a brown leather depending on the exterior color. I probably would go for a different interior color. This black is a little bit too dark for my taste. Now, you can see at a glance the interior is identical to the last JL Wrangler that I showed you. You can see the seats have this overland embroidered on the seat back. I do like the leather. It is relatively comfortable and supportive. These are heated seats, 3-level heated seats, manual recline for both front seats. You can't even option in power seats on the Gladiator or of course the Wrangler. You can see the doors. When I shut them, it has a relatively solid sounding thunk. So even though the doors are removable, it still sounds pretty nice. The key fob, you can see the same Jeep key fob that I showed you on the Wrangler. It does include remote start, which is nice. It actually even has a switchblade function, although for $4.95 extra, my tester includes the proximity sensing part of the smart entry. So the button to fire the engine is over here. And you can hear it starts right up, and it has that typical Jeep or that typical diesel clatter noise when it first starts up. This is, of course, a modern EcoDiesel, which means it runs on the AdBlue, the injection fluid that helps to clean up the emissions. That is an important part, of course, with purchasing a diesel vehicle. Now, looking at the rest of this cabin, you can see my tester is pretty much loaded up. You've got the stitched leather that's actually real on the dash, on the airbag cover over here. It's leather covered over here on this grab handle, which is nice. A lot of black plastic in here as well, but there is some nice silver painted plastic trim. This is soft padded over here on the door panels. Because the doors come off, the window controls are actually here on the center. You have one touch up or one touch down for all the windows. However, they are not one touch up. I think Jeep should have made that fix a while ago and just make them also be one touch up and down. I like how there's a lot of buttons here. You have the 8.4-inch Uconnect head unit here. The steering wheel itself is heated, which is nice. It's also a manual tilt telescoping function. The level of adjustability isn't great, but I did find that I was okay with finding a driving position in here, a comfortable one. You can see seeing out of the hood, or out of the view out of the front, the hood is massive. It's got a relatively small windshield, decent sized side mirrors. My tester has blind spot monitoring. It has adaptive cruise control because of that option. It also has, or it is lacking lane keep assist, which I believe Jeep doesn't even offer because of the recirculating ball type steering. When I put the truck into reverse, you can see there's just a standard backup camera with distance and trajectory markers. No parking sensors, however. The camera itself is okay. This is the older Uconnect 4 head unit, as I said, and it also includes Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. You can see it is a little bit smaller because of the smaller screen here, but this is the biggest screen that you can get on the Gladiator. It also has embedded factory GPS, which is also nice. Jeep has been sort of improving their Garmin-based navigation system over the years, and this is really easy to use. Cooled seats, however, are not available on this truck, which I think they should consider offering, because if you take all the doors off and everything, the seats will get pretty hot if it's sitting out in the sun. Down here you can see your actual 4-wheel drive switch is over here. This is a part-time 4-wheel drive system where you have a 2-high, 4-high, just kind of pull this lever all the way down to go to 4-high. And then you have to put it into neutral and then crank it over to go to neutral if you guys want to do that. This controls the 8-speed auto, very nice traditional shifter, manual pull style handbrake, which is nice, 2 cup holders here, and then you have a nice padded armrest here, which offers 2-tier storage. You have a USB in there as well, and then some of the tools you need to remove the top, which is nice. The seats, like I said earlier, are very comfortable and supportive. I like how Jeep has finally made the head restraints soft touch, which the previous generation, I remember, was hard as a rock. And then the glove box, you can see, is a decent size, a little bit small. Actually, I'm surprised at how it's like half the size that I expected it to be. But overall, the cabin of the Gladiator is still very nice. The overland trim definitely gives you a more luxury-oriented theme. Now, thankfully, the Gladiator only comes with the 4 full-size door configurations, which does mean you get significantly more space. In fact, Jeep says you get around 38 inches of legroom back here, which makes it one of the most spacious back seats in the midsize segment. Only the Honda Ridgeline comes close, but come on, the Gladiator is a way cooler truck because it actually has the off-road credentials. It's a Jeep truck. Now, the back seat still does a couple of cool tricks. You can kind of lift this up if you'd like, and it gives you a flat floor here. There's also some lockable storage. The seats themselves also are relatively comfortable, and for full-size adults, this is again going to be able to accommodate that. Getting back here, you can see there is a nice step running board here to help shorter people like myself get in. And once you're back here, I actually find the space to be pretty good. I have good headspace back here. Obviously mine has the hardtop with the actual hardtop headliner. But when I shut the door itself, you know, has a nice same solid thunk as the front doors, and you can see the space back here is pretty good. You have a floor here that's not completely flat, but you could actually put 3 people across. You have your window controls over here, power outlet, 2 USB ports, no heated rear seats. I wasn't expecting that in the Gladiator, but surprisingly, this is a soft touch injection molded plastic on the doors. You have 2 map pockets, which is nice. There's even a nice little armrest here that folds down and gives you 2 cup holders in addition to those 2 over there, so you have 4 cup holders total. And when you guys have the roof off, that's probably the best part about the Gladiator, but overall with the hardtop, you definitely get a nice secured feeling that you typically expect in this segment of truck. Now, when I first drove the Jeep Gladiator last year, I was really impressed with this vehicle. However, one of my biggest complaints was that Jeep only offered it with one powertrain, the 3.6 liter Pentastar V6, which was plenty fine. However, it just kind of lacked the low-end torque that you want with a truck. Now again, the Gladiator remains to be more of a lifestyle type of truck. The bed is only 5 foot long, as you guys saw. It doesn't tow as much. In fact, the towing capacity is actually lower with the EcoDiesel because of the additional weight. This is about 300 to 400 pounds heavier than the regular Gladiator. But because this vehicle has 442 pound-feet of torque, when I put my foot down, it is just incredible how fast this thing picks up speed. It is such a torque monster. 0 to 60 feels like the mid 7-second range. In fact, Motor Trend just tested this vehicle 0 to 60 wise, and they got 7.6 seconds. It's about a half second quicker than the gas-only V6, which again, the diesel doesn't sound the best. It definitely has like a school bus trucky noise to it. But this is a way better engine than what you're gonna find in the Colorado diesel or the Canyon diesel, because those use a 4-cylinder. This is a nice big V6 with all of this delicious torque. It has this wonderful 8-speed automatic from ZF that is a really good partner for this engine. And everything that we like about the Gladiator kind of carries over. This isn't the best road-going vehicle, although Jeep has made substantial improvements over the years. The ride quality is a little bit bumpier, although this one here is the Sahara trim, so it's or Overland trim, so it's a little more softer tuned and not quite as noisy. The steering is still ridiculously slow. It's a recirculating ball type steering. This truck has live axles front and rear. Because it's not the Rubicon, it doesn't have those big massive tires, which does make the ride a little bit better, and it has a little bit more precise steering. It's just a more road-going version of the Gladiator, the Overland trim, but the diesel is really where it's at. It's a fantastic powertrain, and if you guys don't need to tow the heaviest loads, get the diesel, because this just it makes it a really great truck. It also makes it a fuel efficient truck. In my week's worth of testing, I easily averaged around 24.5 mpg in mixed driving. And on the highway, it got around 27 mpg. So it's about a 10 mpg improvement over the regular gas V6. So that's a huge improvement in itself, and I think that's one of the reasons why you're going to go for the EcoDiesel. Now, the EcoDiesel is very, very pricey. This is about $6,000 extra if you guys go for the EcoDiesel, and that's because you have to check mark the automatic transmission, which is another $2,000, because the V6, the gas V6, comes with a manual transmission as standard, and plus $2,000 for the automatic. So obviously, you know, it's going to make this vehicle more expensive, but the 8-speed auto is the perfect partner. It doesn't have a manual, or it doesn't have paddles on the wheel, which is fine. It has a manual shift mode here, but you're not going to be, you know, using paddles or shifting manually in a vehicle like this anyways. It's just designed to be, you know, a really great all-around car, or do truck things in it, do off-roading in it. It's just fantastic how smooth and how powerful this thing feels. Now let's try it really quick from a stop and see how the torque feels. It does have start stop, which I find myself turning off because it's really annoying. So it's a little laggy at first, but once the turbo kicks in, man, this thing just really takes off and pulls all the way out to 4,500 RPM, which diesels don't make that much power down low, so, or up high, so you're really just revving it too much if you're gonna be pushing it past 4, because all that mid-range grunt just makes this truck super quick, and it also gives it better passing power than the gas V6, which requires you to rev the crap out of the engine and it just kind of screams. This just kind of makes a nice little muted growl. But overall, I really like the way this goes. I mean, I really like the regular Gladiator. If you guys want the diesel engine, it is not available in the Mojave trim, but you can get it in the Rubicon. And you're gonna get better gas mileage in it. It still feels big and heavy. It feels substantial, which is what you kind of expect in a big truck. And it also has, you know, a full-time or four-wheel drive system with a low-range transfer case. This one, of course, doesn't have like the bigger tall tires on it or the locking diff or the disconnecting sway bars. But just because it doesn't have that stuff does not mean you still can't take this vehicle off-roading. And as you can see here, there is like untouched snow here in this big parking lot. And the Gladiator, I'm still in two-wheel drive, is perfectly content just kind of sitting in here without me having to even put it in four-wheel drive. The traction control is pretty aggressive. It's cutting all the power and I have my foot to the floor right now. Wow. But as you can see, this truck just keeps plowing along and it doesn't get stuck even though I'm in two-wheel drive right now. It's a rear drive truck when it's in this mode. Now the Jeep Gladiator is one of my favorite of the midsize trucks because even though it's not the most capable truck in terms of towing, in terms of payload capacity, if you guys don't plan on doing the usual truck things, but you want a really cool lifestyle truck that has the ability to take the roof off, that gives you the option of a manual transmission, that just has a really big cool factor, because everywhere I took this thing, I still had people giving me a thumbs up. The Gladiator is still that exact vehicle. However, they've made it even better for 2021 because of the addition of that turbo diesel V6. I love the V6, I love the torque, I love the fuel economy, I love the fact that it gives you nearly 500 miles of range. And I also like this overland trim. I think that it looks a little bit weak at times, so I probably would swap out the tires and just get a better mud terrain tire, because the Rubicon kind of gives you that, but the Rubicon also sacrifices some on-road ride comfort. This one is a little bit more comfortable, it's a little bit quieter, gets a little bit better gas mileage, it's lighter than the Rubicon, and if you don't plan on taking it onto the trails, which most people honestly just take it onto something like this where you're in this big empty parking lot and there's snow on the ground and do donuts in it, that's probably the most kind of off-roading that people are going to see in these type of trucks anyways. There is a good amount of Jeep owners that do take their vehicles off-road, but the overland trim is just the easier one to live with on a daily basis. I would just probably pick it in a brighter color, but definitely check the option for that diesel V6 because it really makes a difference when you're driving this thing in just your daily driving kind of traffic conditions. Now, in terms of pricing, what's it going to cost to buy a Gladiator EcoDiesel? This truck still starts at $35,000 for a base sport version with the V6. That's including the destination charge. If you guys want the EcoDiesel, like I said earlier, it's about $6,000 extra. So now you're looking at $41,000 if you guys want to get the EcoDiesel. Going to the overland trim is going to be around $44,000. And then my tester here has about $15,000 worth of options because Jeep likes to charge you for almost everything. It actually makes this truck pretty darn expensive at just over $60,000 for this particular one here. Now keep in mind, if you guys go to a Rubicon trim, and add every single option that Jeep offers on this truck, you can actually spec out a Gladiator to be over $70,000. 70 grand is way too much. It does make the diesel a little bit harder to choose because it's going to take you a lot of driving to actually make that money back in fuel savings. So you really want to buy the EcoDiesel because you like the torque, but just know it's going to cost you a pretty penny for an already expensive truck. But Jeep, you know what, still sells a ton of these. They're actually on track this year to sell a little over 80,000 units, which is double what they sold last year, where the Gladiator first came out, but it also kind of had a slow rollout. So the fact that Jeep still sells a lot of these makes these a very popular truck, and I'm starting to see them a lot more and more in my local areas. Well, with all that said, I hope you guys have enjoyed my full overview on the 2021 Jeep Gladiator EcoDiesel. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, be sure to follow me on Instagram at redline_reviews, like us on Facebook, and as always guys, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.